All right. Good evening and welcome to the Utopian Cafe for Tuesday, November 30th. We got a special show tonight. Our friend Mark Weber is here. It's opening day in Eternal Baseball, and we have a cool surprise as we're going to simulate our Eternal Baseball inaugural champions opening day. It's the Giants versus the Dodgers. Christy Mathewson versus Sandy Koufax. But first, I want to welcome in the creator and curator for Eternal Baseball, Mark Weber. Mark, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm good. It's always good to talk to you, Joey. How have you been?
I've been great. This is going to be a lot of fun. Mark reached out to me earlier in the day and said, "Hey, let's just simulate opening night. Get the champions here live." So, Giants and Dodgers. Now, Mark, for those who aren't familiar with Eternal Baseball, tell us how this all works and what we can expect for season 2 of Eternal Baseball.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with our first season, which kicked off back in early February. Me and my oldest friend, my friend Brent, and I have been working on this for a year or two and finally got it ready to kick off. So it's a simulation with 32 teams based on the best players in franchise history for the 30 current MLB franchises. And then we also brought back the Montreal Expos because we felt bad about how they kind of got rooked out of their franchise. And then we were going to add a 32nd team, and we looked at the Washington Senators to see if both iterations of Senators could field a really competitive team. And the truth was, no, they can't. It's just not enough talent going through in a Senator jersey. So rather than have a Washington Generals to just get kicked all year long, we brainstormed on it and went, you know what? There's an easy solution here. So we created the Birmingham Knights, which is a new franchise, but it draws from the history of the stars of the Negro Leagues. So all those great players that didn't get to play against major league talent every day now get to do that in Eternal Baseball. So we're a little different in that it's not the best players of all time because some of the franchise icon players are actually a little bit left out. Talking about guys like Bert Campaneris for the A's or Frank White for the Royals, guys that you couldn't imagine not being on those squads. But the way Eternal Baseball works is we're looking at every player at their absolute peak. So we take the best 3 consecutive years of every player's career and then average them to try to find, how good were they at their very best. And the idea is that every franchise has all their players lined up on a field at their absolute peak, and they're picking their roster from those guys to try to win one season. So we had that rolling last year. And what we found was, and we had simmed a bunch of seasons beforehand just to make sure we ironed the bugs out. And what we found was true was that franchises with the longer lineage always had an advantage because they're pulling from over 100 years worth of talent. So, it's not that they always win, but it's more that they're never bad. And that's we've simmed 10 seasons in Cincinnati and Boston and both Chicago squads, the Yankees, they're all the Reds. They're always at least okay because the talent base is just too deep for them to truly struggle. And the teams that don't have that their own lineage stretching back very far, the Washington Nationals, the Florida Marlins, the Tampa Bay Rays, they really have a hard time competing at the top. But in one of the seasons we simmed 10, the Texas Rangers won the whole thing in an absolute runaway. And you don't think of the Rangers as an expansion club anymore, but compared to some of I don't want to say baseball elite, but some of the grandpas of Major League Baseball, they're still kids. So we were using a simulator called Action with an exclamation point, PC Baseball from DK Sports. We always give them credit because you can play the game just like we do. You just got to do a ton of work to get all the stats right and all the pictures in. But we just finished up our first season, and in the end, it was the San Francisco Giants who led wire to wire in their division, who knocked off the Birmingham Knights, the team built of Negro League legends, in a really good Eternal series to win our first championship. And then we took a little time off, rested up. But we really wanted to get our second season started during the off season because it's a long winter for all us baseball fans. And particularly with the threat of a lockout or work stoppage this year, we thought it'd be a great time to offer up a solution for people who are maybe a little frustrated with Major League Baseball, but still, at their hearts, love the game. So that's what we kicked off today. I've been simulating games and writing recaps all day. Our website is eternalbaseball.com, and we have dedicated message boards to each of the 32 teams, and that's where we'll post our box scores a little later tonight. And on our main homepage, we'll have our standings and we'll have our box score and 2 players of the day. So that's all still on my workbench for tonight. But we're getting close, and I just thought it was a really good opportunity for you and I to actually put one of the games on. If I'd have thought of it earlier, I'd have saved you a Brewers or a Mets game, but I thought of it too late. I only had a couple left, but wow, one of them, it's actually the bottom game as the schedule lines it up. It's San Francisco against LA with, LA Dodgers, I should be specific, with, Christy Mathewson against Sandy Koufax. And those are the ones that always just make me giggle and shiver a little bit when I see, especially on opening day, we had, Randy Johnson against Walter Johnson. Come on.
Nice.
Just ridiculous kind of matchups that you see. And sometimes you see them in the game, right? When Aroldis Chapman, tries to save a game and preserve a 1-run lead, and he's got to face Ted Williams, David Ortiz, and Jim Rice. And you're like, whoa, I mean, that's the stuff that just that kernel of an idea is what fueled this whole thing, is the idea. And we've all done it. What if, right? What if Dwight Gooden faced Babe Ruth? I want to see that. And we found a simulation software that really does a good job with it. So we are all in, and we're excited to kick off season 2 for Eternal Baseball.
And I'll be honest, if I'm looking at your schedule for today, I'm probably picking this Giants-Dodgers game just because of the pitching matchup right there.
Yeah, I mean, even season 1 aside, right? This is the idea that it's arch rivals, and it's probably the best pitching matchup of the day. Mathewson won our first Cy Young Award in the National League last year, and it's only proper. Cy Young actually won the Cy Young in the American League, and probably rightly so. So, but it's cool to see, and that's the one thing we saw over the full season looking at it, is that everybody's stats are a little bit depressed, because if it's the best hitters of all time at their peak, they're still not going to get exactly what their numbers say they should, because they're facing the best pitchers of all time at their peak. But vice versa, the best pitchers, their ERA and their WHIP and all that's going to be up a little bit, because look at these lineups, right? Got to go through DiMaggio hit leadoff for the Yankees last year. They won the MVP. It was DiMaggio, I think it was DiMaggio, Gehrig, Mantle, Ruth. Come on, what are you going to do with that? So, and one of the cool things, because we don't really have trades, and it takes, because, you're going to trade Ted Kluszewski off the Reds, right? They need to be where they are. That's where they're beloved. But to get a little bit of shakeup in the rosters, we expanded them like MLB did from 25 to 26. And we we actually asked fans, hey, help us out. Which of these 3 possible candidates for your favorite team do you want to be the 26th man on the roster? And some of it was just straight, who's the best of the 3. But some of it was kind of strategic. And you can see some of the names that were selected over here, like Melvin Mora for Baltimore is incredibly valuable because he plays 6 positions, steals bases. And so some of it was valuable, like that Biz Mackey making the Birmingham Knights, not because Josh Gibson isn't a great catcher, but that Josh Gibson could use a day off now and then, or they're an American League club, so a DH day is good for him. Players tire in this game, just like real baseball, and catchers tire out quicker. So you really do need, a couple guys back there who can pick it. Some of them are runaways. Ted Kluszewski got, I think, 90% of the vote from the Reds fans. The other 2 candidates weren't even close. And sometimes it's guys you can't even fathom. How is Tim Wallach not on the Expos? Well, they've got some spike talent, and that's another one of those things is a guy can have a fantastic long career and still be outdone by a spike. Like Bert Campaneris was great for the A's forever at shortstop, but Marcus Semien for a short period of time actually had a higher peak than Campaneris did. Now, I'm not saying that Semien should be considered the best A's shortstop of all time. I'm just saying that his peak was a little higher than Bert Campaneris's was. And that's really what we're chasing here statistically. So we had Phillies fans couldn't believe Richie Ashburn wasn't already on the 25-man roster. And Philly fan, they're not shy. So we definitely heard about that. I love that Bobby Bonds made the Giants and gets to play once in a while next to his son, except the weirdness of eternal baseball means they're both like 26 years old at the same time. So weird, but that's kind of how it works. Lou Brock couldn't make the original Cardinals because they're so deep in the outfield.
Oh,
but imagine having Lou Brock on your bench in the late innings. Like
steal some bases, yeah.
Yeah, we think this is really pretty cool. And the guys that we added will spice things up and make things a little bit different than season one. So we're looking forward to this, and we're kicking it off a little later tonight. Actually, we're going to kick it off right now with our Giants Dodgers game. Now, I think I actually have to close this window and open it again because I have to share the sound of the game with you.
Okay, cool.
So let me pop this back on here. Takes just
now. Who's hosting tonight's game?
Let me check. I'm getting right to the schedule here. It's funny because the software defaults to 2019 when it was originally made, but I always make sure the seasons match up to our current day and date. So I don't want to have to confuse myself about we're playing February 12th here on November 30th. I knew that would be a nightmare before you know it. So we're looking at November baseball on the 30th, and it's LA at San Fran, I guess, as it should be.
I assume they're getting their rings tonight.
I would think so. I mean, it's with the Dodgers in town, especially, right? So we'll pop this up with us controlling. Oh, we're going to be the Dodgers. Sorry. We're going to try and knock off the champs. All right, let me share this screen here. Share. There you go. All right, so I'll monkey with some of this in a little bit, but LA's on. Actually, we're going to control LA just to set their lineup because I want to make sure that it's Koufax starting. Sometimes it'll go weird and grab somebody who wasn't actually scheduled to pitch.
Okay.
And it's not a big deal. It happens to every team over the season. There's no bad decisions really, but we really advertise Koufax versus Mathewson, so I can't have them sliding Kershaw in and thinking that the fans won't notice. So this is just setting the lineups. So for pitchers, it'll be Koufax. And for the Giants, it's Christy Mathewson. So the Giants will be playing, the lineups are already set. And we can monkey with these if we want to. But right now the Giants are running their lefty lineup, or their versus left-handers lineup.
Sure.
And nothing looks amiss there. I always like it when Kevin Mitchell gets into the line. And then for the Dodgers,
and if you wouldn't mind, Mark, just because I'm actually programming for my phone, if you could read the lineups.
Oh, sure.
Just yeah.
Yeah, so for the Dodgers, it's make sure I get his name right. It's Babe Herman leading off in right field, and Zach Wheat hitting second in left field, Duke Snyder hitting third and center, Cody Bellinger hitting fourth at first base, Jackie Robinson hitting fifth at second base, Corey Seager at shortstop, hitting sixth, hitting seventh, Pedro Guerrero at third base, hitting eighth, Roy Campanella catching, and Sandy Koufax hitting ninth and pitching. And then over, let's gives me this little jingle every time I go over. So for the Giants, it's Orlando Cepeda, the baby bull, leading off at first base. Kevin Mitchell in right field. Barry Bonds in left field. Willie Mays hitting cleanup in center field. Buster Posey hitting fifth at catcher. Jeff Kent hitting sixth at second base. Hitting seventh, it's, make sure I get it right, Freddie Lindstrom at third base. Hitting eighth, it's Travis Jackson at shortstop. And hitting ninth, it's Christy Mathewson pitching.
Nice.
So that's our lineups.
Welcome to opening day at AT&T Park for tonight's game between Los Angeles and San Francisco. Sandy Koufax starts for Los Angeles. He'll be opposed by Christy Mathewson for San Francisco. It's 69 degrees, wind speed 10 miles per hour, in from right field.
That was a little loud. I'll have to temper that next time.
I love that it gives you like the temperature and where the wind's blowing. This is great.
Yeah, it's a really good sim. We give all credit really for the gameplay to the guys at DK Sports. They did a really good job. And one of my favorite things, and lots of sims do this, is that you can do for an at bat, it's just the last pitch. So you don't have to sit through 3-1, oh, here we go, waiting for it's just okay, the last pitch of this at bat was an 0-2. It was 0-2, and then this happened.
Okay.
So you don't have to sit through. No one wants a 3-hour sim game, right? Most games you can get through in about 40 minutes. So let me just. I'm trying to make the names big so you can see them well. Player displays. Here we go. Large. Medium.
So do the teams in Eternal Baseball have managers? Like, I'm assuming Lasorda for the Dodgers?
Yeah, they do. And you can actually, and we haven't gotten too far into this, but you can actually program the manager to manage a certain way, to be more aggressive on the base paths or to hit and run more. And so once we figure out what a team's good at or what a manager's preference really is, we can actually tweak that to make teams play the actual game differently. We haven't quite got there yet, but yeah, right now they have managers, but they're kind of in name only. And
Okay.
it's just whoever had the most dominant run for every franchise. So they're not that different yet, but I think we'll get there. The idea that Earl Weaver won't run much, right? Because you wanted that 3-run homer all the time.
Yeah.
And the Whitey Herzog will run like crazy. And so I think that's a really good next step for us. We're just not quite there yet. So I'm going to change LA over to computer. Oops, hang on. That was almost a big mistake. There we go. Oh.
Pitching for San Francisco, Christy Mathewson. Leading off for Los Angeles, right fielder, Babe Herman.
Now I'm going to have to, after the game, get in there and change. I provide the picture that they play on.
Okay.
And we can't even see first base right now.
Oh,
so when we get a runner on, it may be a little bit of a guesswork on how big a lead they're taking or how good a chance they have. But we'll get there. We'll get there. So right now it's just mainly, most of the time you're just pitching, right? So we are, hang on. I actually did this backwards. We want to control LA. Oh yeah, San Francisco's the computer. So we should be batting. LA human, San Fran computer. Okay, here we go. So now we're batting, and you have your options: hit, take, or bunt. It's almost always hit.
Sure.
And then it must have been
left fielder, Zach Wheat.
Zach Wheat. What fans really felt like, because over just a season, playing against San Fran 4 or 5 times, anything hit to the gaps of the middle, I just give up on because Willie catches everything. One of my favorite plays of the year last year was a line shot over Bonds' head and left, and he didn't even move. It was one of those, well, that's gone moments. And then Mays caught it against the wall behind Bonds. Like, no worry, kid, I got it. So
nice.
The idea that Bonds didn't even try, and Willie caught it, no big deal. I just thought that was pretty cool. So here's Zach Weed. And again, anything out there?
Center fielder, Duke Snyder.
Kiss it goodbye. It all lands in Willie's mitt.
Strike 3.
Pitching for Los Angeles, Sandy Koufax. Leading off for San Francisco, first baseman, number 30, Orlando Cepeda.
You can also monkey with their pronunciations a little bit and spell the name differently and say, just to the computer, pronounce it like this.
Oh,
and so
nice.
That's one thing I still have to get through and get guys. Sometimes they're so bad we leave them because they're funny to hear. But until we get a man on, it's
right fielder, Kevin Mitchell.
There's not a lot of decision making to make until somebody gets on.
Sure.
And when I first started playing, it took a while for me to figure out what
left
actually
fielder,
was a homer.
Barry Bonds.
So it says here that Mitchell turned an ankle running out that fly ball, but he shook it off. So he's still in the game, but he might be a little reduced because he got a gimpy ankle. And here's Barry Bonds from ASU. No surprise.
Center fielder, Willie Mays.
So the reason why this photo is problematic is next to Barry's name right now, it would give us his stolen base, his percentage to steal second base safely.
Okay.
And then it gives you a better decision on whether you want to, if we were San Fran, if we wanted to run him or not.
Oh,
I know
sure.
I know Bonds doesn't run a whole lot because his numbers are based off his 3 best years, which is when he was hulked up and not stealing bases anymore. So I'm not too worried about him over there at first. But of course, I'm terribly worried about Willie Mays.
First baseman, number 35, Cody Bellinger. Second baseman, number 42, Jackie Robinson.
Now with Jackie, we have the opportunity to bunt too if we want. Bunters are rated on a scale of 0 to 10, and Jackie is an 8 bunter. So he's a great bunter, and you can see that Lindstrom and Cepeda are both back. So if we want to try that, we can, but we are bunting with 1 out. So that's totally your call.
Let's have him hit away.
All right. I hit it to Willie. Looks like he might have.
Shortstop.
I dropped in.
Number
He's
5,
on first.
Corey Seager.
Now, unfortunately, we can't tell how good an opportunity he has to steal here, but probably not bad. Obviously, he's a good base runner, but it is Buster Posey behind the plate. So 1 out. Now your options are wide open. You can hit and run. You can bunt for a hit, bunt for a sacrifice. You can run and hit, or you can straight steal. You got lots of options.
Let's do a hit and run here.
All right, hit and run with. It's perfect. Goes through. He takes third.
Third baseman, Pedro Guerrero. First
and third, 1 out. And this is kind of cool because it's Jackie Robinson. He's got a 32% chance to steal home if he wants to. and you might look, you might look at that and go 32. But you're like, you know what? 1 out of 3 is not bad. Now I'm not saying we want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just giving Jackie the proper respect for having a better chance to steal home than Bonds had to steal second.
That's incredible.
But is Pedro Guerrero up right now? And your options are wide open. Now, because you have a guy on third, you also have a squeeze play available. So
nice.
Your call. What you want to do with Pedro?
Let's just have him hit away here. It's Pete Guerrero. Let's see what he can do in this situation.
Here we go. He's at least going to get 1 in. Looks like a sac fly. No throw.
Catcher,
1
Roy
nothing.
Campanella.
Campanella. So runner on first. Campanella can't really bunt. This is pretty obvious just to hit.
Yeah.
See what he can do. All right.
Catcher,
but we get
number
one.
28, Buster Posey.
Koufax and Posey. And this is also pitching. You can pitch around a guy if you want to, or you can go after a guy real aggressively. And if you pitch aggressively, you don't walk. You almost never walk a guy, but you're also more likely to give up hard contact because you're throwing over the plate. So that's you use that when the pitcher's up, right? Or really, man, not that they're rotten hitters because these are all the best players of all time, but it's a little different if it's Phil Rizzuto up or Gehrig, right? So here's Koufax and Posey.
Ball four.
It's weird.
Second baseman, Jeff Kent.
Weird to think of them as both retired guys, right?
Yeah, it's so weird.
Posey, two guys that used to play. Here's Jeff Kent. Now Kent, no, he's a terrible bunter. And Posey, I'm sorry, we're pitching, so it doesn't matter.
Ball four.
All right.
Third baseman, Freddie Lindstrom.
At the same time, you can start your bullpen anytime you want, but I got to imagine second inning is a little early for getting somebody up while Koufax has walked two guys.
Yeah.
So Lindstrom bunts and moves the runners over.
Shortstop, Travis Jackson.
For Travis Jackson, he's their 8 hitter, so we'll definitely go after him because Mathewson's up next.
Yeah.
Shallow, that's good. Holds the runners.
Pitcher, Christy Mathewson.
So with 2 outs, we have Mathewson, and this is a time when you can be aggressive with him, but honestly, pitchers rarely get hits anyway, so it's probably just safe enough to pitch to him.
Pitcher, Sandy Koufax.
And he doesn't have to wait long for revenge. Here's Sandy waiting to hit. Yeah,
right fielder, Babe Herman. Left fielder, Zach Wheat. First baseman, Orlando Cepeda.
That was actually a fly to left center. I don't know why I didn't animate it further than that, but that was the last out.
Right fielder, Kevin Mitchell.
Mitchell's great because he qualifies at
Left
shortstop.
fielder, Barry Bonds.
But he's rated a 1 out of 10. So
at short.
Yeah, you really don't want. Some of the guys like Matt Williams qualifies at shortstop still in this game, but terribly, right? I think Sheffield actually gets some at bats for the Marlins at shortstop, but he's brutal. So a typical Sheffield day in internal baseball is like 2 for 5 with a homer and 3 errors. So did you really have a good day? Here's everyone's friend, Barry Bonds. Grounded.
Center fielder, Duke Snyder. First baseman, Cody Bellinger.
No.
Second baseman, Jackie Robinson.
So there's Jackie.
Shortstop,
Single
Corey
left.
Seager.
All right, so now we have Jackie on 2 outs and Seager coming up. So we have hit, steal, hit and run, run and hit. Plenty of options.
I don't know. Maybe this would be an opportunity to see if we can get Robinson in scoring position here. Maybe we steal a base.
I think I wish we could see it, and had I picked a better actual field photo, he would. But I'm sure he's got a decent chance, so we'll send him here. And he's in there. And Corey Seager.
Strike 3.
Oh.
Center fielder, Willie Mays.
I feel bad about Seager striking out, but he's got 325 million reasons
to
not be too worried about it, right?
Yeah.
Here's Willie Mays, who's terrifying in this game to face. Just
Catcher, Buster, Posey.
anytime I get him out, I'm surprised. I'm like, oh, I guess it does.
He was the MVP of the National League in the Eternal Baseball, right?
Yeah, he was. And the funny thing was, he was the starting center fielder for the All-Star game.
Second baseman,
And he
Jeff
had played
Kent.
a flawless center field all year. 0 errors to the All-Star break with like 7 or 8 assists. So he's picking guys off bases and just a defensive absolute terror. And then I forget who hit it, but he dropped an absolute can of corn in the All-Star game. Ball was in the air forever, not real deep. And Willie Mays dropped it in the All-Star game. And it was like, I can't even imagine how many sixes the computer had to roll in a row to have that outcome come out. But, I guess they can all do it, but it doesn't happen too often, Willie. Jeff Kent popping it straight up.
Third baseman, Freddie Lindstrom.
Good pick there.
Third baseman, Pedro Guerrero.
Here's Pedro. Wow, Barry got
Catcher,
on his horse.
Roy Campanella.
All right, 1 out in Campanella.
Pitcher, Sandy Koufax.
All right, Sandy, do us proud.
Ball 4.
Ooh.
Wow.
Right fielder,
Who knew?
Babe Herman.
All right, Babe.
Ball 4. Take your base.
All right. I didn't expect
Left fielder, Zach Wheat.
That could be trouble.
Shortstop,
Nice
Travis
catch by
Jackson.
Kevin Mitchell.
Pitcher, Christy Mathewson.
Straight up.
First baseman, Orlando Cepeda.
Oh, and that's the other thing down here. It keeps track of the pitch count. So Koufax has thrown 64 pitches, and he has a maximum of 120. So we can watch that as it goes along and see, when it's time to get somebody out. Even if he's pitching well, if he's throwing a lot of pitches, we may need to get into that bullpen.
All right.
Center fielder, Duke Snyder.
Ball 4.
It kind of felt like this might have been a 1-0 game, though.
Yeah, I think as advertised so far.
First baseman, Cody Bellinger.
Hey, it's kind of funny because
Second baseman, Jackie Robinson.
without Bobby Bonds in the outfield. Oh, and that's the numbers. They're small. I'm sure it's small on your phone, but it's their defensive rating that's next to their name.
Okay.
So, and in the outfield, the A is for arm strength. So when you see Willie Mays 10, A10 means, and there aren't a whole lot of 10s anywhere. Like they're pretty careful with that. That's your Brooks Robinson, Ozzie Smith level. But before Bobby Bonds got added to the squad, it was always Mays flanked by Kevin Mitchell or Barry Bonds or Willie McCovey, or I think the Baby Bull's not bad in the outfield, but almost everybody else is like a 3 or a 4. And it almost doesn't matter because Mays covers everything between the left and the right fielder. Like they never have to go in the gap because Willie catches everything. So they can actually get away with a couple of scarecrows in left and right field because they've got Willie Mays basically on a Roomba running around the entire outfield catching everything else. All right, so here's Jackie. We got 1 out, nobody on. Oh, 1 man out, sorry.
Shortstop, Corey Seager.
All right, Corey. Earn your money.
Right fielder, Kevin Mitchell.
All right, so
Left
lead
fielder,
off man
Barry
on
Bonds.
in the 6th. Koufax has only thrown 75 pitches. He's not tired yet, but just something to keep an eye on. And now here's Bonds with 1 on and nobody out. And we do have an option to pitch around if we want to, but it also means you're far more likely to walk him because you're trying to hit the corners and make him, trying to nibble and not give up anything center cut.
Yeah.
So we got pitch, pitch around, pitch out, pick off. I don't even remember who's on first. It's a bit of a problem. Hang on. Who's on first? It's Kevin Mitchell. He's not running. So you want to pitch to him normal, pitch around him?
Let's go after him.
All right. Yep, no problem. I was a little worried
Center
about
fielder, Willie Mays.
that. And here's Willie with one out. Go after him?
You know what? It's Sandy Koufax, so let's just do it.
He hasn't had any trouble so far. Shot.
Catcher,
right at third.
Buster Posey.
Now Posey with two down. Oof.
Wow.
So we got Bonds and we got Mays, and then Posey bit us with a 2-run shot to center.
Second baseman, Jeff Kent.
398 feet. That one always gets me on this game. I guess it was a little bit to left because it's 404 to straight center.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, unless you hit it off Canseco's head. I don't know how you got it out at 398, but.
Strike 3.
Third baseman, Pedro Guerrero.
So we're playing from behind for the first time. Pedro Guerrero. And it's 7th inning, right-handers. So we have lefties on the bench. Let's take a look. It's always tough when I'm playing a team I don't normally control the roster for.
Sure.
Or haven't played a whole lot. So I always want to make sure I know who I've got and who's around. So let's see here, against a right-hander, if we search here for OPS against right-handed pitching specific, our best option here is Deal Hodges. If we wanted to pinch hit, but it's Pedro Guerrero, and he's only like 3 or 4 down. So Campanella is actually the one who struggles again for what it is, right? His OPS here against right-handers is 839. So in no way am I saying that Campanella struggles against right-handed pitching, but for the guys we have in the lineup, Campanella is our weakest against right-handers. And we have Russell Martin on the bench as a catcher too. So I don't think we pinch hit for Pedro here, but we might do it for Campanella next, knowing that we have Martin who can come in for him after.
Sounds good.
Ball 4.
All right.
Catcher, Roy Campanella.
Now it also means if we pinch hit here, Koufax is still our next batter.
Yeah.
This is where the National League is far more interesting from a strategic perspective. Koufax hasn't really struggled. He just gave up 1 shot. So I don't think we're ready to get him out of the game unless we get 2 guys on and think could be a make it or break it inning. So
And we have 1 out right now?
we have nobody out, runner on
Nobody
first.
out.
It's top of the 7th. So it's not late, but it's not early either.
Sure.
Do you want to let, hang on, wrong team. Do you want to let Campanella hit here or do you want to pinch hit for him?
You know what? I kind of want to see, I'm kind of intrigued by this matchup late in the game, having Campy versus Mathewson.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll try this.
We'll stick with him, and then we've got options here, although it's Guerrero on first, so he's got 10 steals. We're probably not sending him. But we can hit and run. We can run and hit. We can bunt if we want to, but it is Koufax next. So we probably don't want to give up our 8-hitter on a bunt.
Yeah, I don't think we should bunt. Maybe do a hit and run here.
Okay. Hit and run, Campanella. I hit it to Willie.
Yeah. The vacuum.
Wrong direction.
Pitcher, Sandy Koufax.
Okay, Koufax is up, and he's a decent bunter, 4 out of 10, with 1 out and a runner on first. So do you try to sacrifice here to get the runner over?
I think so.
I I can't see him smashing a hit off Mathewson, though we did get a walk earlier, which is pretty impressive. All right, Sandy, here's your bunt. I try to pick off move.
Pummel!
He bunted it foul, and it wasn't the only pitch of the at bat, so now it's 0-2. So it probably takes the bunt off.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just let him hit.
Strike 3.
Nice shots.
Right fielder, Babe Herman.
Babe Herman. The 2 outs, he's just swinging, I think, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, Babe. Let's short.
Third baseman, Freddie Lindstrom.
That was a weird audio bump. Koufax is at 90 pitches. So unless he gets into trouble, he should be good through this inning for sure. If we starts getting some runners on, though, we may want to get that pen cooking a little bit. But he is facing 7, 8, 9 here, so he should hopefully get through here.
Yeah.
Just wait for the old ball game. Big finish. Okay.
Shortstop, Travis Jackson. Pitcher, Christy Mathewson. Pinch hitting for San Francisco,
Okay.
Bobby Bonds.
So we get Mathewson out of the game. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And now it's Koufax versus Bobby Bonds. His first at bat in Eternal Baseball. That's kind of cool.
Nice.
Welcome to the Bigs, kid. Have you met Sandy Koufax?
Strike 3.
And there you go.
Pitching for San Francisco, Gary Lavelle. Left fielder,
Gary
Zach
Lavelle. I
Lee.
love it.
So Gary Lavelle's in. Well, pretty sharp left-handed reliever. So that changes our thought process a little bit. It's kind of funny. This is one of the only reasons he's on the all-time Dodger roster here is that Matt Kemp positively murders left-handed pitching. So we have Matt Kemp and Justin Turner as our 2 best hitters against lefties on our bench. And our 4th best is Gil Hodges, who's on our bench as well. But we are near the top of our lineup, 2, 3, and 4. So Zach Weed isn't dying to get pinch hit for. His OPS against lefties is 920 versus Kemp's 995. So Kemp is better, but Snyder's no slouch. So, I mean, Wheat's no slouch. Neither is Snyder. So I don't know that we need a pinch hitter here, but we want to keep in mind that we have at least 2 really good ones as we get down the lineup.
Yeah, we got some options, it looks like.
But I think we let Wheat hit.
Yeah.
And he pays us back with a sharp single.
Center fielder, Duke Snyder.
Snyder's not much of a bunter because no one ever asked him to bunt ever, I don't think. But pop him back into the roster here versus lefties. Yeah, Snyder's 918. He's great against lefties. So we can hit. We've not much of a runner, only 3 steals on a full year. So we probably have hit and run, or run and hit, because we're not going to bunt to Duke Snyder.
Yeah, I would just say hit away here with Duke.
Okay. All right, he moves the runner over at least.
First baseman, Cody Bellinger.
Now, Bellinger. I didn't see him up there. Yeah, Bellinger actually. Where are you? Oh, no, he's 3rd. He's great against lefties. As a lefty, which is pretty impressive. So, yeah, I think we're just hitting here, right? Not getting too creative.
Oh, yeah.
Tying around second. He hits it, Willie. Don't hit it to Willie. Okay, now it gives us an option here. When it's a debatable play, we can send Wheat to 3rd, but he only has a 30% chance of making it safely. So with 2 outs, I'm never, ever sending him on Willie Mays' arm.
No, not a chance.
Okay, so send Wheat to third, no. Stay put.
Second baseman, Jackie Robinson.
And now Jackie is. All right, Jackie is only 900 against, only 900 against left-handed hitters, or left-handed pitching, whereas Kemp is 995 and Turner is 990. So do we want to pinch hit with 2 outs and the tying run on second here, or do we want to let Jackie hit?
I say we let Jackie hit. I mean, to get this dream Jackie Robinson, Gary Lavelle matchup on opening day,
Right?
I think we got to do it.
Yeah, it's somehow Matt Kemp, Gary Lavelle isn't quite the same. Isn't quite the same billboard. All right, Jackie. Oh, it's just not quite enough.
First baseman,
Nope.
Orlando Cepeda.
Okay, so Koufax only has 14 pitches left in him. And the lineup coming up, other than Barry Bonds, is almost exclusively right-handed. So we probably want to get our bullpen going. Actually, hang on. Start over here. So pitchers against right-handers. Looking at straight on-base percentage. Our best option is our closer, Eric Gagne. Remember, this is Gagne at his peak when he was game over. But we've also got Kenley Jansen, who's almost as good, and then the Julio Urias, who's one step down. So we probably want to use Jansen or Urias here. Or we can get them both going too. You can warm up 2 guys at the same time.
Yeah, why don't we do that? I can't see how that would hurt. We'll warm up both guys and.
All right, let's see here. Jansen, warm, and Urias. Okay, so they're warming up. Usually a reliever takes 1 full batter to be completely ready. Or if you do 1 batter and do a mound visit, they'll be ready right after that.
Okay.
So after this one batter, if we mound visit, they could be ready if we need them. So here's Koufax against Cepeda.
Right fielder, Kevin Mitchell.
So 8 pitches left for Koufax. So he's got enough for Mitchell, but maybe not for Bonds. But that would let us bring Urias in as a left-hander to face Bonds.
Yeah.
And then swap over to Jansen if we need to.
Ball 4. Take your base.
Left fielder, Barry Bonds.
All right, Sandy's done at his 120 pitch limit. You can go longer, but they get lit up and they're more likely to get hurt. We're not going to throw out Sandy's arm on opening day.
Yeah.
Dodger fans would never forgive us. But it's got to be Urias here, right? The left-hander.
Of course, yeah.
Bonds. All right, so bullpen. We want Urias in. Oh, and this is where we can double switch. I almost always forget about it. I don't forget about it, but they remind me. So hang on. We're still in the same spot game-wise. I just forgot where we were batting order-wise. So if we want to double switch, we can. And that pitcher spot is coming up here at some point. But if we want to get behind, Seager will lead off the next inning. So we'd be replacing Bellinger at first, or Robinson at second, or Snyder, Wheat, or Herman in the outfield.
And just because it's a little smaller, can you tell me what the options are on the bench?
Yeah. For overall OPS, because we aren't sure we're going to face a lefty or a righty, our best option is Gil Hodges, who can go in first or in left field, or Justin Turner, who can play first, left, or pretty bad right field. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Justin Turner can play a bad second base or a pretty good third. So Turner for Robinson is a complete step down at second base. Yeah. But Hodges, we could double switch Hodges into the lineup and put Urias for Bellinger at first base, which would be 2 spots behind where we are right now.
I think that would make more sense.
Okay. So we'll put Koufax. Koufax comes out. Urias comes in for Bellinger. And Urias pitches for Bellinger.
Pitching for Los Angeles, number 7, Julio Urias.
And then I also have to put Hodges in batting ninth and playing first base. There you go. Double switching, kids. For you American League fans, you've never seen that before.
They can
And for your
Google that
national-
later.
And for your National League fans, if they get the DH, you may never see it again.
Uh,
So here we go. Julio Urias against Barry Bonds with runner on, one out.
Ball 4.
And he walks.
Center fielder, Willie Mays.
So Mays, it's funny when you break it down like this. So Mays is 343 against lefties, 323 against righties. So with a tongue firmly in cheek, he struggles against right-handers. But since we have a right-hander ready and a left-hander on the mound, I think you got to make that switch.
yeah.
So we'll bring in Jansen for Urias.
Pitching for Los Angeles, number 74, Kenley Jansen.
All right. So Willie, don't hurt us. That looks promising. All right.
Catcher, Buster Posey.
Posey, who stung us earlier with the 2-run shot, with 2 down, 2 on. Oh, he got us again. Single
Second
left,
baseman,
scores 1.
Jeff Kent.
Buck Ewing is the new runner at first. He must be slightly faster than Posey
I see.
as the backup catcher, so a better running option here with 2 outs.
Ewing is the new runner at first.
Look at Bonds at 40% to steal home.
That seems high, huh?
Definitely. I'd like to see it. Maybe Jansen holds runners so badly
Yeah.
that Bonds has an advantage. But don't think that Campanella isn't sweating it with the incredible Hulk Barry Bonds at 40% over there at third base. The pen has let us down.
Third baseman, Freddie Lindstrom.
Well, just because it's getting ugly, you better get somebody else up in case Jansen never puts it together here.
Yeah.
Ron Peronofsky. He can help. So now Freddie Lindstrom is up with runners on the corners. 2 down. All right. Mercifully,
Shortstop, Corey Seager.
we're out of the inning. With Corey Seager leading off the 9th inning, down 4-1 to the defending champion Giants. Gary Lavelle on the hill. Now, Seager, just to make sure I'm checking everything here. So OPS against left-handers. Seager is quite a ways down. So we have Kemp, Turner, Russell Martin, and Ronsay. Probably want to get someone in there for Seager. Kemp is the best hitter, but we'd have to figure out how we make this work defensively afterwards if we get another half inning.
Yeah, I mean that's a good problem to have. You know, if we're scoring 3 runs, it means we're extending the game. I'd say let's do Kemp.
All right, so Kemp for Corey Seager.
We can figure out the rest later.
Pinch hitting for
Yeah.
Los Angeles, number 27, Matt Kemp.
All right, Matt. Right back to Lavelle. Oh, error at first, though.
Third
Kemp
baseman,
Kemp is safe.
Pedro Guerrero.
Pedro Guerrero. So here we are looking at the lefty-righty splits again. And Guerrero is not real good, and Justin Turner is much better. And Turner can be a straight swap for him at third.
Let's do it.
So I think that makes easy sense.
Pinch hitting for Los Angeles, number 10, Justin Turner.
With that glorious redheaded beard. Look how good he looks right now. Nobody out, down 4-1. I'm thinking we're not going to get real creative here.
No, I think
just hit
we
away?
just gotta hit away here. See if we can string some together.
Oh,
Catcher,
Turner
Roy
strikes out.
Campanella.
Now, Campanella is not real good. Russell Martin's actually better. So we can use Russell Martin here as a straight switch.
Yeah.
And then we already have Gil Hodges next.
Pinch hitting for Los Angeles, number 55, Russell Martin.
All right, Russell. Hey, there we go. Single, he stretches it into a double.
First baseman,
Nice.
Gil Hodges.
I always thought Russell Martin was underrated. Like, he was good for a long time.
Yeah.
So we got second, third, one out. Gil Hodges up because of our crafty double switch. And then here we go. He didn't get all of that, but it might get one. All right, if we send Kemp home on the noodle arm of Barry Bonds, he has a 96% chance to score. So
I like those odds.
Pretty obvious, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll
Right
let
fielder,
you,
Babe Herman.
They'll let you send the runner from second too. And if you were flipped, if you were the Giants, they give you the option to cut your throw and try to nail the guy at third.
Oh, I see.
So it works both ways. Now Lavelle has actually passed his pitch count, so it's funny that they haven't got him out yet. But we'll take it. When the pitch count's in red, there he's thrown 41, and he's supposed to get out of there at 40. So we've got Babe Herman, runner at second. Let's see what Babe is. Babe's actually not bad against lefties, so we'll probably leave him be. He's better than our own. I think our only option now off the bench are Ron Say and Pee Wee Reese. And we would need Reese for the shortstop with sub Seager, with nobody ready to take over. So Zach Wheat will leave alone. See what he can do.
Strike three.
And that's game.
All right.
4-2 Giants Dodgers. Apologize for the funky park layout that didn't let us see the runners at first, but I'll get that fixed. But overall,
The final score from ATT Park, San Francisco 4, Los Angeles 2. Christy Mathewson picks up the win. He is now 1-0. Sandy Koufax picks up the loss. He is now 0-1 on the season. Gary Lavelle gets the save, number 1. Buster Posey hit home run number 1 on the season. Time of the game, 3 hours, 23 minutes.
not bad.
Nice.
And then when the game wraps up, you get your kind of standard box score. But one of the fun things to look at is every pitcher each game gets kind of a roll of the dice. This is STF. It means stuff. It just means how good was his stuff today. And it can be a plus is good, obviously. A double plus is very good. If there's nothing, it just means they had their average, normal stuff. But if you get a minus or a double minus, it meant they didn't have good stuff today, and that's why they probably got lit up. So Koufax actually had a great chance to take care of the Giants today with this double plus in the stuff ratings, but in the end, it wasn't quite good enough. 3 runs over 7 1/3. Most of the damage, well, all the damage done by Posey.
Yeah.
So
all 3 RBIs, right? Or
yeah.
3 of the 4?
Yep, I think he had 3 for 3 with a homer, 3 RBIs, and they got pinch ran for.
Yeah.
So for every Giant fan that's thrilled about this win tonight, remember that that's retired Giant Buster Posey who did all of the damage. So let's hope Joey Bart has a good year.
Yeah.
But that's what a pretty good, pretty competitive game of Eternal Baseball looks like. And we always sim 1 game a week. We do a podcast on Sunday nights. You can find it through our homepage, eternalbaseball.com. And we try to make sure we get every team represented during some Sunday night during the season. Once in a while, we'll cherry pick a really good game if it looks like there's a great pitching matchup or a clash of division leaders. And that's one of the tricky things about having a 32-team league. We have 8 divisions with 4 teams in each, so it's totally balanced, but it also means no wild cards. You have to win your division to make the playoffs in Eternal Baseball.
Yeah.
And that leaves teams like the Dodgers well frustrated, or the Red Sox were very strong last year, but not quite as good as the Yankees, and they didn't even make the playoffs. So it's there's pros and cons. I'm not an anti-wild card guy, but I do like having balanced divisions. So if you didn't win your division, then you didn't deserve your run in the playoffs, and that's the way it kind of shakes out over internal baseball.
Well, this was a lot of fun, Mark. Now, tonight you're going to post the rest of the opening day results at eternalbaseball.com.
Yep.
And we have a lot of Mets and Brewers fans, so just letting everyone know the Mets open their season against the Marlins tonight, and the Brewers open their season against the A's. At the conclusion of our telecast here in a couple seconds, we're going to put the Eternal Baseball website up so that fans and anyone that enjoyed this tonight can check out the results tonight. What time are you thinking tonight, Mark, for the results?
I think we'll have them up in about an hour. I just have this one and 2 more games to sim, but the other ones I'll sim. They'll go quick. I won't do it pitcher to batter. So I think in an hour and a half, we should have those scores, the standings, and the scoreboard up. And again, there's individual message boards for every team, and that's where you'll find the specific box score for your favorite squad.
Sounds good. And do you know who you're broadcasting on Sunday for your?
Yeah, we haven't actually picked it yet.
Oh, okay, cool.
The way we always start always it's our second season. We start our season on Tuesdays because we play all 3 game sets. So it's a 3-game set, off day on Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And we always play either the last game of the Sunday schedule or the first game of the Monday schedule. And so we don't really know who it's going to be just yet, but we'll get it figured out and post it up soon. We do almost all of our stuff is our own website, and then mirrored on Facebook and also on Twitter, and then a little bit on Instagram. So if you like what we're doing, you can always find us at Eternal Baseball, either at the homepage on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
All right. Well, Mark, thanks for letting us do this tonight. This was a lot of fun. I'm sure we're going to have you back later in the season for season 2 of Eternal Baseball. The final score from AT&T Park: the champion Giants 4 and the Dodgers 2. This is Joey from the Utopian Baseball Universe, wishing everyone a great night. Mark, thanks for being here.
You bet. Always good to come on.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, and everyone have a great night. Tomorrow at 5:30, we got Marty Morgan and a special performance by Marty at 6:30 Central tomorrow. So check us out. Everyone have a great night. Take care, Mark.
See ya. Good night.